What's shakin'? Hey, I'm Rick Jordan, and today we're going all in. My daughter, this is her 10th production with this theater company in Chicago, and it's not a school thing because my kids are in online private school, and this is a theater company you have to audition for, just like any other theater company that exists. And she landed the role of the Wicked Witch of the West, and my son landed the role of the Cowardly Lion. I mean, two leads that are in the show. It was just phenomenal to watch them. And I'd love to share videos too at some time because I was recording some of the things yesterday. And it was just amazing. I mean, people walking up to them and just cheering and yelling during the curtain call at the end. It was really fun to watch. And throughout all of this, I mean, they were doing such an amazing job at this performance. I mean, one woman, I think she was probably like 70 years old, just sought Ariel out, my daughter, at the end to tell her, it's like, I think you deserve an Oscar for this. And my son's solo as the Cowardly Lion, you know, King of the Forest, if you've ever seen Wizard of Oz, was a freaking showstopper. I mean, just the way that he acted this out was just absolutely incredible. And I was so touched because I worked hard with my daughter, especially in the last week leading up to this, going through her lines with her, giving her some acting direction, all of this. And she mentioned me by name in her bio, thanking me just for working so hard with her on her lines, on her act outs. I was really, really just fulfilled as a dad. It was just a really cool time. Leading up to this, I mean, it was just insane, the amount of effort that they had to put in, but it was the amount of time, the amount of hustle that they had to put in. And that's what I'm talking about today, is a season of hustle. Because this entire week leading up to show week, imagine, right, kids being in school, which is really like a full-time gig, right? And then every single night, Monday through Friday, leading up to the shows on Saturday and Sunday, they had dress rehearsals, tech rehearsals, 8 other different kinds of rehearsals, whatever you want to call them, but they were 4:30 to 9 p.m. for 5 nights straight. And imagine that as a parent trying to get them where they need to go, making sure they have what they need. My kids are extremely responsible and very independent. I mean, they make their own meals to take because they get hungry during that time too. I mean, it's a musical. You're moving around so much. You're sweating. And my son even asked me, "Hey, Dad, you know, in this costume for the lion," he's like, "Is there a way?" And he's 13, right? "Is there a way to put like a fan in there or something to cool me off because I'm really hot in there?" Like, that's actually pretty brilliant. He's trying to come up with these outside of the box. I'm like, not really, but what we can do is maybe get you some Under Armour, right? Some moisture wicking tight shirts. That way it sucks the sweat away. And it's like, oh, that sounds good. I got him some workout shorts to wear underneath that. These last 2 weeks especially were just hardcore for both my daughter and my son. And hardcore for parents too. I mean, in the entire musical, just trying to get their kids where it was. But I started thinking about this, and it's like, this is the hustle, right? And the hustle is all leading up to this certain point. And then the certain point that they have, which is this climactic moment of their shows. And then after this, they get like about a month and a half off until they start regular, consistent rehearsals. Again, for the next show, which the next one is Guys and Dolls. It's pretty cool. I'm excited for that one. All 3 of my kids are auditioning for that. They usually all, at this point, because of their age, their abilities, and how long they've been with the company, they always get leads at this point, which is really, really fun to watch. But leading up to the Wizard of Oz, too, was the same thing. It was rehearsals. It was like Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Right, normal amounts of time, I might say, you know, like a 7 to 9, like a 2-hour block, rather than not like this 4:30 to 9 p.m. 5 days in a row. And there were some that were just not scheduled because of holidays and all that, so they'd have a little bit of a reprieve. But there was this consistency and discipline and regular schedule that led up to this week, or really like 2 weeks of just like all out hardcore. Let's push this across the finish line. Hustle. And I start looking at business and even the company here, right? And I take a look out in the world at the entrepreneurial community and the business owner community and just people who are trying to push forth and get something done. But it's become this scenario to where it's like the hustle is the thing that's glorified, right? And the hustle is the thing that has to happen all the time, because if you're not hustling, you're dying. If you're not hustling, you're not building. If you're not hustling, you're weak. And I'm thinking it's like, but that's not what it is, because when you lead up to this stuff, imagine if it was just the 2 weeks of hustle leading up to the show without that 12 weeks or 10 weeks, whatever it was, of just consistency, those consistent rehearsals, those consistent practices at home, those consistent running through lines in a regular rhythm that led up to that time period to where it's like this burst of energy, this hustle to get you pushed across the finish line. And I'm looking at this pattern because this is something that I've thought too. It's like, I used to think it's like, I will work. This is Dwayne Johnson, right? It was like, his phrase, The Rock, would always say, be humble, be hungry, and be the hardest worker in the room. And so many take that, because it's one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard. So many take that last part, be the hardest worker in the room, as in you're hustling all the time. I will outperform, outmaneuver, outpush every single other person that's standing around me, in front of me, behind me, all of that, because I'm the one that's going to make it across there when they're the ones that are going to drop out and quit. That's what that line is taken as, but I'm telling you, it's wrong. That line is wrong. Because when you get back to the basics of things, when it says be the hardest worker in the room, the hardest worker in the room can be somebody who's consistent, somebody who's persistent, somebody who's disciplined to go through those natural rhythms every single time. And then it comes up to a point to where hustle is required, because those are the moments to where, yes, you sure will be the hardest worker in the room. In addition to the discipline and consistency and persistence that you just had, now you will also have this burst that nobody else around you can even touch. And that's the hustle. And the way that you can do that, I've had people look at this with me. It's like, how do you have so much energy all the time? It's like, well, I look back and it's like, mine are consistent short bursts. My hustles are when there's an event, when I'm speaking, when I'm going on TV, when there's something within the company that needs to get completed within a period of time, to where environment has created this scenario, or maybe even some chaos that needs to be rectified. And then I will buckle down and I will hustle, and nobody else can touch me. But that hustle is a season, not a culture. Hustle is a season, not a culture. Hustle as a culture will cause people to burn out. Hustle as a culture will cause people to become disengaged, because when you're consistently throwing on the afterburners, the fuel eventually runs out. But the way that you don't run out with that is limiting your hustle strategically to a particular season. It's like you've always got something reserved in the tank, because at some point in time, there's going to be situations surrounding you that just blow the fuck up. That's just what happens. And then you have the gas in the tank, the reserves, because you've been consistent, because you've been disciplined, because you've been persistent for the last 3 months. And then something happens, whether it's either chaos or it's an opportunity to go after. And then you shift on those afterburners for a season to get that shit done. That's the purpose of hustle. The hustle is your afterburner. The hustle is your reserve. The hustle is the thing that you flip on. It's your nitrous oxide in the car to just push you across that finish line. For those who like Fast and Furious, you don't hit your nitrous right away because the tank runs out. But through the rest of the race, at the beginning, you are consistent, you are disciplined, you are persistent in your everyday rhythms to get to the point to where you can just shift that thing on, turn it on, and then crush everybody else around you and push that goal, whether it's eliminating the chaos, dominating the chaos, or closing on an amazing opportunity and leveling up. Because that hustle season is right now. This is the way that you can go all in.